My name is Adrian. I'm 34 years old. And 2 years ago, my older brother Marcus stood in a courtroom and told a judge that our mother had never intended to leave me a single thing. He said it with such conviction, such rehearsed sincerity, that for a moment even I questioned what I knew to be true. He had a document to back it up, a will, notarized and dated, that left everything to him. The house, the savings, the life insurance. Every trace of our mother's 58 years on this earth funneled into his name. What he didn't know was that I had the original copy in my bag, and it told a very different story. Let me take you back. My mother, Diane Hollis, raised Marcus and me mostly on her own in a 3-bedroom brick house in Decatur, Georgia. Our father left when I was 4, and Marcus was 9. He sent money sporadically for a few years, then disappeared altogether. Mom worked as an office manager at a dental practice for over 2 decades. She wasn't wealthy, but she was careful. She paid off the house by the time she was 50. She had a savings account she never touched, a modest $401k, and a life insurance policy worth $180,000. Everything she had, she built slowly and deliberately, like stacking bricks. Marcus was 5 years older than me, and, growing up, he was everything I wasn't. Loud where I was quiet, charming where I was awkward. He had this way of making a room tilt toward him. Teachers loved him. Neighbors adored him. Mom, and this is something I didn't fully understand until I was older, Mom worried about him. She loved us both. I believe that. But she spent more energy on Marcus because Marcus always seemed to need rescuing. Failed classes, lost jobs. A DUI at 23. A second one at 27. A string of relationships that ended with someone's windshield getting smashed. Mom bailed him out every time. Literally. She posted his bail twice. I, meanwhile, kept my head down. I got a scholarship to Georgia State, graduated with a degree in accounting, and started working at a mid-size firm in Midtown Atlanta. I wasn't flashy about it. I just did my work. I visited Mom every Sunday, brought her groceries, helped her with her taxes, drove her to doctor's appointments when her knees started giving her trouble. I wasn't keeping score. That's not why I did it. But I want you to understand the dynamic, because it matters for what comes next. Mom got sick in March of 2021, pancreatic cancer. By the time they found it, it had already spread. The oncologist gave her 6 to 12 months. She lasted 8. During those 8 months, I was at her house almost every day after work. I cooked, cleaned, managed her medications, coordinated with hospice. I held a basin under her chin when she couldn't keep anything down. I slept on the couch in her living room more nights than I slept in my own bed. Marcus came by maybe once a week, sometimes less. He'd stay for 20 minutes, kiss her on the forehead, and leave. Once, I heard him on the phone in the driveway, talking to someone about the house situation and whether he should get ahead of it. I told myself I'd misheard. I told myself he was talking about his own apartment lease. In July of 2021, about 2 months before she passed, Mom sat me down at the kitchen table. Her hands were thin, the veins showing through like blue thread. She slid a manila envelope across the table and said, "Adrian, I want you to hold on to this. This is my will." Gerald helped me draw it up. Gerald Pittman was a semi-retired attorney who went to her church. He'd done her will years earlier and updated it that spring after her diagnosis. She told me the will split everything equally. The house, the savings, the life insurance 50-50 between Marcus and me. She said, "I love your brother, but I know who showed up. I want you taken care of." She also told me she'd given Marcus a copy and told him the same thing. I put the envelope in my fireproof safe at home and didn't think much more about it. I was too focused on keeping her comfortable. Mom passed on the 14th of November 2021. The funeral was on a Saturday. It rained. Marcus gave a eulogy that made everyone cry. He talked about Sunday dinners, about her laugh, about how she always believed in him. I sat in the front pew and didn't speak. I couldn't. My grief was a physical thing, sitting on my chest like a stone. After the funeral, I expected us to sit down, go through the will, and begin the process of settling her estate. Instead, Marcus avoided me. I called him 4 times over the next 2 weeks. He returned one call, said he was dealing with a lot, and hung up after 3 minutes. Then, in early December, I got a letter from an attorney I'd never heard of. Not Gerald Pittman, but a man named Terrence Vaughn, operating out of a strip mall office in College Park. The letter stated that Marcus had filed to be the sole executor of our mother's estate and had submitted a will to the probate court of DeKalb County. According to this will, dated June 2021, Diane Hollis had left her entire estate, the house, the savings account, the life insurance policy, everything to Marcus Deshawn Hollis. I was not mentioned at all, not once. I read that letter standing in my kitchen, and I had to put both hands on the counter to steady myself. My vision actually narrowed, like the room was closing in. I read it again. Then, a third time. Then I called Marcus. He answered on the second ring, which surprised me. His voice was calm, almost rehearsed. "Adrian, I figured you'd be calling." "What is this?" I said. "What did you file?" "It's Mom's will. She updated it before she died. She wanted me to have the house since I'm the one who's going to take care of the family legacy. You've got your career, your salary. You don't need it." "Marcus, that is not what she told me. She told me 50-50. She gave me a copy of the will." There was a pause. Then he said, and I will never forget this, "Adrian, Mom was on a lot of medication toward the end. She said a lot of things she didn't mean. The will I have is the real one. It's notarized. It's legal. I'm sorry if you're confused, but this is what she wanted." He hung up. I stood there for a long time. My hands were shaking, but it wasn't from sadness anymore. It was something hotter, something that started at the base of my spine and climbed upward. He wasn't just taking my inheritance. He was rewriting my mother's wishes. He was erasing me from her final act of love. That night, I opened my fireproof safe and pulled out the manila envelope. I read through the will Mom had given me. Dated the 15th of April, 2021. Prepared by Gerald Pittman, attorney at law. Witnessed by 2 members of her church, Barbara Owens and Clyde Mitchell. It was clear, specific, and unambiguous. All assets to be divided equally between Marcus Deshawn Hollis and Adrian Nicole Hollis. The house was to be sold and proceeds split, or one party could buy out the other at fair market value. The life insurance was split 50-50. The savings account, which held just over $41,000, was also divided equally. Marcus's version, the one filed with the court, was dated 2 months later, June 2021. It was supposedly prepared by a different attorney. It left everything to him. But here's what caught my eye, and this is where my accounting background saved me. The notary stamp on his version listed a commission expiration date of March 2023. I looked up that notary. Her commission had actually expired in November 2020. Whoever prepared that document had used an expired notary stamp, or worse, a forged one. I didn't confront Marcus again. Not yet. Instead, I did what I do best. I built a case. Line by line. First, I called Gerald Pittman. He was 81 years old and mostly retired, but he remembered my mother clearly. He confirmed that he had prepared her will in April 2021 and that it was a 50-50 split. He still had his own copy in his office files. He said no one had contacted him about any updated will, and that Mom had told him explicitly she didn't intend to change anything. He agreed to provide a sworn affidavit. Next, I contacted Barbara Owens and Clyde Mitchell, the 2 witnesses. Both confirmed they had watched my mother sign the will at Gerald's office. Both were willing to testify. Then I did something that required patience. I filed a public records request for the notary's commission details and got written confirmation from the Georgia Secretary of State that her commission had expired 7 months before Marcus's will was supposedly notarized. I also pulled the document metadata from the court filing. The will Marcus submitted was created using a word processing program. The file properties showed it was last modified on the 28th of November 2021. That was 14 days after Mom died. 14 days. He had created or altered that document after she was already gone. I hired my own attorney, a woman named Cassandra Webb, who specialized in probate litigation. When I showed her everything the original will, Gerald's affidavit, the notary discrepancy, the file metadata. She looked at me across her desk and said, "He committed fraud on the court. This isn't just a civil matter. This could be criminal." I asked her what our options were. She said we could file a will contest and present the evidence to the probate judge, or we could report it to the district attorney's office, or both. I chose both, but the court hearing came first. The hearing was scheduled for the 22nd of March 2022 at the DeKalb County Probate Court. I barely slept the night before. I ironed my mother's favorite blouse, a navy blue silk top she used to wear to church, and I put it on that morning. It still smelled faintly of her perfume, that warm vanilla scent she wore every day. I wanted her close. Marcus arrived with his attorney, Terrence Vaughn, who looked exactly like you'd expect a strip mall lawyer to look: ill-fitting suit, scuffed shoes, a briefcase that didn't close all the way. Marcus was wearing a new watch. I noticed that. A new watch and new shoes, and our mother hadn't even been dead 4 months. The judge, a woman named Honorable Patricia Simmons, began by reviewing the competing claims. Marcus's attorney presented his version of the will first. He spoke confidently about Diane Hollis's clear and expressed intention to leave her estate to her eldest son, who had been a constant source of support and comfort in her final months. I watched Marcus nod solemnly, performing grief like a man who'd practiced in front of a mirror. Then it was our turn. Cassandra stood up and placed the original will on the table. She walked the judge through the document, the date, the attorney who prepared it, the witnesses, the clear language of equal distribution. Then she introduced Gerald Pittman's affidavit, confirming the will's authenticity and stating that Diane had never contacted him about any changes. Marcus's attorney objected, claiming that clients are free to seek new counsel and update their wills at any time. That was true technically, but then Cassandra pulled out the notary evidence. She presented the certified letter from the Secretary of State confirming the notary's commission had expired in November 2027, months before the date on Marcus's will. She showed the judge a side-by-side comparison of the notary stamp on Marcus's document and the actual commission records. They didn't match. The courtroom got quiet. I mean truly quiet. The kind of silence that has texture. Then Cassandra presented the file metadata. She showed that the document Marcus submitted was last modified on the 28th of November 2021, 2 weeks after Diane Hollis's death. She let that sit for a moment before saying, "Your Honor, this will was not written by Diane Hollis. It was not signed during her lifetime. It was fabricated after her death, using a forged notary stamp, and submitted to this court as a genuine legal instrument." I looked at Marcus. His face went through 3 expressions in about 2 seconds: surprise, anger, and then something I can only describe as calculation. He leaned over and whispered to his attorney. Terrence Vaughn's face had gone gray. The judge asked Marcus directly whether he had anything to say. He stood up and started talking fast. He said Mom had told him verbally that she wanted him to have everything. He said she didn't trust me because I was too focused on money. He said Gerald Pittman was senile and had manipulated our mother. He said I had pressured Mom into the original will while she was vulnerable. Judge Simmons listened without expression. Then she asked him one question. "Mr. Hollis, can you tell me who prepared the will you submitted to this court?" Marcus hesitated. Then he said, "A family friend helped us draft it based on my mother's wishes." "A family friend," the judge repeated. "Not an attorney?" "No, ma'am." "And the notary stamp on this document, can you explain how a notary whose commission expired in November 2020 notarized a document dated June 2021? Marcus didn't answer. He just stood there, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the table. Judge Simmons ruled from the bench. She declared Marcus's will invalid, found clear evidence of fraud, and accepted the original will prepared by Gerald Pittman as the authentic last testament of Diane Hollis. She also referred the matter to the DeKalb County District Attorney's Office for investigation of potential criminal fraud and forgery. She removed Marcus as executor and appointed an independent administrator. Marcus tried to talk to me outside the courtroom. He grabbed my arm in the hallway and said, "You're really going to do this to your own brother? Over money?" I pulled my arm free and looked him in the eye. "You did this, Marcus. You tried to steal from your own mother after she died. I'm just the one who caught you. He called me 7 times that week. I didn't answer. His girlfriend called me twice, crying, saying I was tearing the family apart. I blocked her number too. The district attorney's office did investigate. Marcus was charged with forgery in the 2nd degree and fraud. He took a plea deal, 2 years of probation, a fine of $5,000 and a permanent record. He also lost any claim to the estate. The house sold for $212,000. Combined with the savings and the life insurance, the total estate was worth roughly $433,000. Under the original will, that should have been split equally. But because Marcus had been found to have committed fraud against the estate, the court ruled that his share was forfeited. I received the full amount. I didn't celebrate. There was nothing to celebrate. My mother was gone, and my brother had shown me exactly who he was. I used part of the money to pay off my student loans and put the rest into savings and a small investment account. I donated $10,000 to the hospice organization that had helped with Mom's care. I kept her kitchen table, the one where she'd slid that envelope across to me. It sits in my dining room now. Marcus and I haven't spoken in over a year. I hear things through cousins occasionally. He lost his apartment and moved in with a friend. I don't feel satisfaction about that. I feel a dull ache where a brother used to be. But I also feel something else, clarity. I know now that love doesn't obligate you to accept betrayal. And I know that my mother's final wishes were honored, not because the system worked perfectly, but because she had the foresight to put that envelope in my hands. If this story resonates with you, here are 3 things I want you to carry with you. First, always keep original copies of important documents in your own possession, not with a family member, not in a shared space, in your hands, in a safe, where only you can access them. Second, trust patterns over words. Marcus told everyone he loved our mother. But his pattern, the showing up late, the scheming, the getting ahead of it, told the real story. Watch what people do repeatedly, not what they say once. Third, standing up for yourself is not the same as being vindictive. I didn't go after Marcus to hurt him. I went after the truth to protect what my mother wanted. There is a difference, and you are allowed to know it. If you've been through something similar, if someone in your family tried to manipulate, gaslight, or cheat you out of what was rightfully yours, I want you to know that your instincts are valid. Document everything. Seek legal counsel. And don't let anyone tell you that keeping the peace is more important than keeping your dignity. Thank you for listening to my story. If it meant something to you, leave a comment. I read every single one. Like this video if you believe that the truth matters, and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like mine. You are not alone, and you are stronger than you think.